Join us for a review of the updated VW Tiguan today as the new Tiguan plug-in hybrid. Let's go! In the front we can see with the Tiguan facelift it has a bolder front, higher hood right here, you can see it in this area, and also the new front grille has been realigned together with the headlamp, now forms one unit. LED is now standard and optional, you can see these here, the IQ lights, this is the matrix LED for more elaborated high beam function. Also the lower bumper has been reorganized, it's a sportier style, bolder definitely also here for the hybrid model. The length is at 4 meters 51 or 178 inches. And from which side will I enter the stage today? Gotcha! Famous guessing game here on our channel. Wheels start at 17 inch. These are the optional 18 inch wheels. And there's still a lot of tire left. Typical crossover cladding style. White color for today, but of course there are different colors available. In the rear, the Tiguan facelift shows here these new tail lamps, look a little bit more modern, more tech style alike, and the flat integration of these LEDs. The eHybrid badge right here. Is that a fake exhaust graphic? Is that the case for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police? I think we can argue about that. Let's discuss it in the comments. So under the hood we have a 1.4 liter TFSI turbo petrol engine combined with an electric drive, 13 kilowatt hour battery, pure electric range about 50 kilometers or 30 miles, and the total system output here horsepower wise is 245 horsepower. That's what I mean by this is basically the Golf GTE drivetrain, and recharging is here in the front left driver's side, 3.6 kilowatt max AC charging. For the plug-in hybrid vehicle it's not that important, you leave it at home overnight, it's full anyway, and at the charging station, depending on the on the power output of the station, then yeah, a couple of hours. Now let's get inside right here, because the seat form will be the same. And that's really cool. Has been all the way with the Tiguan a nice, very comfortable seating position. There are also these new sport seats with integrated head restraints available for the R, the true Tiguan R. You can also check out that review on our channel, and that is also very comfortable. So the seating comfort in the Tiguan always top notch. Steering wheel up and down, in and out with the manual control here is a nice, smooth process. I also have way more than enough headroom right here, and even if you would mount the optional panoramic roof, you still would have enough headroom. Suspension wise, by the way, either base suspension or optional DC dynamic chassis control, which is the adaptive suspension, and this one is also a recommended option. It really gives you more comfort. Interior overview, you can see here this still is typical Tiguan style, but infotainment has changed, so now either 6.5 inch would be standard, middle trim would be 8 inch, but then still with volume knob and zoom knob, and this one is the optional 9.2 inch screen. This one then also offers gesture function, swiping function, or slaps giving function. Here also I always want to say GTE, the eHybrid electric range here 47 kilometers. That's actually realistic in summertime. We will less in wintertime then, and you can also have different the driving data right here, the normal one, for example. And just that you can see the visualization. There is a GTE mode, yes. So it's not called GTE, but it has GTE mode for the more, best electric boost there. Pretty interesting. On the left side, then the normal Tiguan, base Tiguan, would start with analog instruments. Here, the eHybrid already comes with the digital instruments. Just analog part, left side for the charging of the battery, right side for charging of the fuel. Zoom or deals to both screens. Here, once again, look at the steering wheel. Heated steering wheel, and I really prefer to have these real buttons here. They're easier to control while driving. So once again, with the driving modes, the GTE electric boost, or then this pure EV mode, or the hybrid mode that you can combine both drivetrains intelligently, and then driving modes also for the DCC, optional adaptive suspension, and then in sport mode it will be, for example, stiffer. Other than that, this menu right here, you want to look at the GPS. And I think it's a little bit more complicated than before, to reach everything, also how responsive it is. So since the facelift update here, I think the functionality has grown, and therefore sometimes it's also slower than before. And the digital instruments, they are quite flexible, that's good. Zooming in and out on the map with your right thumb, or you can also adjust what you want to see here on the inside, and also can switch the view right here. But of course, most useful is it then for the GPS, that you can switch between like this view or the classic view with the gauges, or the map all over the place. More than enough legroom, good packaging use. Also have some space for your smartphone right here. Lot of legroom and a lot of headroom both left. You can adjust the back part of the seats with this strap here in the lower part, and also you can move the whole bench forward and backward in a 2/3, 1/3 split. And this would also be a way you can also fold the seats from here completely. That would be possible. Not a very practical thing, of course, when I'm sitting here. With plug-in hybrids, there needs to be a compromise somewhere. Well, somewhat in the trunk. But it's actually quite okay. I put some luggage here inside. You can see a sample that you can see here. Vertical fitting of a trolley is possible without problem. There's a charging cable right here, for example, with this, with this bag. And the only thing you lose is a little bit of height here underneath, because here then, there's nothing underneath, whereas in a normal Tiguan you could, for example, put a spare tire. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Tiguan eHybrid, this new plug-in hybrid version. And we start in all-electric mode. It also will always start in the all-electric mode when the battery is properly charged. And then we have about 50 kilometers or 30 miles of pure electric range. And the Tiguan in general has a very good noise insulation, and together with the comfortable seating position, upright seating position, and the whole look and feel of the car, it really gives you a very comfortable feeling and a calm feeling, and the electric driving is really just contributing to that. And you either stay in a normal D mode for a normal driving mode, and when you lift the throttle then you rather roll, and when you pull the shifting lever back you are in the B mode, and then when you lift the throttle then you have more recuperation here. The car is decelerating, also shows me then here in the digital gauges, which are standard here for the eHybrid model. And usually I would leave it indeed in the B mode, because then you just use more of the recuperation, and when you lift your foot off the throttle, in most times you want to decelerate anyway, and then it also just makes sense to be in that mode directly. And that you reduce speed is also a safety thing, so to me it's always safer than as soon as you lift your foot off the throttle then you start decelerating. And the steering input here is really nice. So it's a soft steering on the one hand, on the other hand there's no dead zone area. There are directly commands being transported. And here also when you're on the roundabout, for example, you see it is fairly sporty as well, progressive, don't have to steer that much. So a very nice steering feeling indeed. And this is then just the normal comfort mode. Of course, you have different driving modes available. When you are on the DC, when you have the option DCC, dynamic chassis control, when you there, for example, go to the sports mode, then also the suspension is set accordingly a little bit stiffer, and I can push the GTE button, and with the GTE mode, then we have the power of both drivetrains combined. Combustion engine now is on, and combustion engine plus electric drive. Let's see how that goes. Whoa, here we go. That was 70, and I really floored it all the way out. And here with this wet road, you see that there was so much power out the front wheels that there was really some traction loss. Then the electronic stability systems were ruling in. So, and you also saw that the steering was going nuts a little bit. So that's the thing with front wheel drive only. But of course, this was more testing purpose. But I mean, accelerating out of the corner and also hitting it all the way through. Usually I would not do that, just for testing purpose, to bring the car rather, let's say, to the max, and to show that, and just for demonstration purposes. Of course, that's somewhat the limit when you have the plug-in hybrid all the way just to the front axle. At dry conditions, this would not happen. This would not be a problem, just here in the rainy conditions. But again, here when you accelerate like nicely out, you have good drive out without, like wheel spin and so on, so that's no problem. But of course, like an all-wheel drive Tiguan is in this case then more fun to drive. The GTE mode and the whole GTE power, 245 horsepower, delivers you a very good performance. I can also show you more acceleration when we just, accelerate straight. Then you can see that as well. Does it feel sporty like a Golf GTE? I mean, the Golf GTE doesn't feel that sporty, the GTI does. It's like somewhat in between. And when you put it here to the sports suspension mode, you also have some stiff feedback from the road. Indeed, there's a wider span now with this DCC. In the comfort mode, it's really fairly soft and comfortable. And usually for the Tiguan, this would also be the mode to stay in, basically. But at least you have the possibility. Here, there's also an energy flow meter. Shows you when I lift the throttle, then also energy is gained back, recuperation. And here, by the way, the shifting pedals, they are indeed for the manual gears. They are not for setting the recuperation. This is then again done with D or the B mode right here. So again, as I said, wet road. I can also show you one more GTE acceleration right here. Then also says once again in the electric gauges. Behind us, let's just show you a straight acceleration once more. Let's go. Up, that's 80. So you see, and this again was wet road. So in dry road, of course, even fast acceleration, but again, it shows you that you have a decent performance here with the GTE model. Really nice, using both drivetrains. But that's the thing about this car. You can use the electric drive as a boost for performance. At the same time then, when we started the review, you can use it as just this calm moment. That's probably even cooler, that you just have the electric drive. You also have the second E-mode button, which is then a little bit hidden next to the stereo, next to the shifting lever. And then you can either go in this hybrid mode, which makes more sense when you have like a longer route set, which is some motorway, some countryside, and some city, and you don't know when to recharge the next time. And then you also have the E-mode, drive electric only, then the RPM from the combustion engine go to 0. Then we are in the all-electric mode, and this would, for example, when you can commute all-electric during the week, go on a holiday trip on the weekend or something, or that you can really recharge frequently and use as much electric power as possible. So if the plug-in hybrid makes sense for you, it's really depending always on the use case of the vehicle. It can make sense for a lot of people, but if you're predominantly, for example, using it for motorway driving only and really like long journeys, then it won't play such an effect. So when the battery is depleted, actually, with these plug-in hybrids here by Volkswagen, no matter if it's the Golf GTE, the Passat GTE, or this one here, you basically score normal ICE figures like 7 liters, 1 kilometers, 40 mpg US, a little bit more 40, a little bit plus 40 mpg UK. This is not exactly great, but also not exactly bad. But it shows you that the good consumption figures, like just a couple of liters, like 3 liters or something, combined with some electric consumption, that you do reach then when you combine both drivetrains. And we can also, we have these special gauges here for the driving data that also show us the electric consumption. So here, of course, with more performance and so on, this is then a little bit biased, but we can also reset that and and then show you once more like more different consumption figures as for that. Once again, when we drive a little bit faster, the noise insulation is really, really good. So that makes this a relaxing drive, and I would also wish a full electric Tiguan for sure, because it's just more relaxing and more fun at the same time driving this one here all electric. If we want to stay in the all electric mode, by the way, so I have the E mode selected here, and I can have this left gauge here, and when when I'm over a certain threshold, then the combustion engine hops on. So when I want to do a good acceleration all electric, then I really have to see like where do I stay in that in that area. Let me try that now, like from about 30 kilometers. Yeah, good boost. 70 kilometers now. So you see, even decent acceleration all electric. Now to our conclusion for today with the VW Tiguan facelift, and especially here the new eHybrid. The facelift introduced a more modern styling in the front especially, and also for the tail lamps, and looks quite fresh and sportier than before, and new lighting technologies. On the interior you always have a lot of space, that's typical for the Tiguan, so the exterior-interior relation is really top notch, and the build quality is also very good. New capacitive functions, possibly for a steering wheel. Good that we didn't have it here today, but there is a new steering wheel also with capacitive updates, which is like not really good. Capacitive AC unit. This one is quite okay to use, so I can be happy with that. But the infotainment system, to me, it felt a little bit slower than before. So maybe also stick then with the 8-inch infotainment system and save some money. There are nice new seatings available, especially with the R-Line interior, for example, or the true R model. Both offer great seating materials as well. And also just the base seat will just be fine. Here, the eHybrid drives very well. It's so much fun to drive it all electric. Same with the Golf GTE and the Passat GTE, and it even also fits to the vehicle. Recharge frequently, and then it really makes sense to drive this car, and it also can make sense, monetary wise, especially if you have some subsidies, governmental subsidies or taxation advantages and so on. And also the combined use, when you drive this one here with the empty battery, you can also score some 6 or 7 liters or more kilometers, 40 mpg US, 48 mpg UK. This is not like exactly super good, but it's still okay. Of course, that only makes sense when you also really plug it in frequently. You can also have some recuperation advantages then in the city, of course, when the battery is empty. But the real powertrain use, the most useful one then, either when you combine it, for example, driving motorway, then with combustion engine in the city electric, or really commuting all electric during the week and going for a longer trip than on the weekend. So indeed, also one of the more desirable versions of the Tiguan here now. What do you think? Do you like the eHybrid here for the Tiguan? Would you have liked to see it as a GTE badging? There's this GTE button on the inside. Yeah, maybe a little bit more sporty GTE styling. Would also have been cool here for the eHybrid. Maybe it comes later. We'll see. Also keep you updated here with anything that's happening on the car market. Tune in next time.